And I believe that all of you who applied to university last year and at the beginning of this year already received your acceptance letters and your rejection letters to the universities that you applied to. And of course, lots of congratulations goes out to all the kids who got into their dream schools and their favorite schools and whatnot. Obviously, you figure things out, you worked hard, and you deserve this win completely. Um, but I'd like to speak to the kids who didn't really, uh, hit the mark that they wanted to hit, because I feel like I can relate, as I was one of those kids who didn't get into their dream school. Um, and I also believe that it's very important for us to discuss failure as well as success, and not just one side of it, because that's what makes the journey beautiful in the first place. Um so in order for me to give you like a bit of background on me, I wanted to go to Princeton. Like, that was my dream school, and I was inspired by one of my idols. His name was Sadhu Babarandege. This guy pretty much like had it all, and he got into Princeton, which like motivated me to tell myself that I need to achieve greatness at this level too, and that I can learn from him to get to that level. And I feel like when I had the dream of kind of getting into like an Ivy League university like Princeton, I wasn't one to say, oh, like, I wasn't in the Sri Lankan notion of saying that Harvard was the best school. I feel like Princeton was the best fit for me, and I constantly worked in a way that I thought that I put myself in position to win at that level. I feel like I did everything right, and like even when it came to writing like my college admissions essays, I got it reviewed by so many people, and especially like people who were in at these universities or at these top tier universities. And when they looked at my profile, like for some reason, like everything checked off for them. So I feel like I did everything I can in my power to put myself in position to get in, but I didn't. And I think that when you get the rejection letter, it's very hard for us to grasp that, because you know it really affects our self-esteem. It affects our belief that we can't be great. It affects our confidence in general, because we take rejection really hardly, because we feel like our dreams are so like connected to all these decisions, and the idea that we can't live up to our potential, and that a place that allows us to do that said no to us, it scares us sometimes. So I really empathize with all those who kind of went through that struggle, because I've been there. And I couldn't, like most of you guys, I couldn't really understand why. But I think with maturity, like it's been one more than 1 year since I've received like my acceptance letter. And I think all of us, we need to just respect the respective admissions process, because at the end of the day, after meeting all the people that I met over here, I just realized that there are there are so many people, so many kids rather, working for the same dream, and there's only so much that university can do in terms of taking people in, and that it doesn't speak about you and your potential. It just speaks about how good of a fit you are to that university. At least that's just my viewpoint on the whole thing, because if you have things that match the profile of the kids that got in, the at the end of the day, like your admissions your admission to that university is pretty much a coin toss. And like what I always tell kids, like I've always been on the other side of the phone where kids keep on telling me, I work really hard, my hard work has gone to waste, I don't know what went wrong. And like, thing is, like, I felt the same way. But if I'm being real with you, like, I feel like everyone works hard to get into these respective universities, and you can't discredit anyone's work. Obviously, you don't feel that way when you get rejected, but I feel like people who get in have done their due work. And sometimes, we feel like, X person didn't get it, Y person shouldn't have got got in, and all of that. But like there are so many factors that play into this, that do not make the situation black and white. It's not always about who deserves it and who doesn't. It's sometimes about who can afford it. It's sometimes about who can, like, who, like I said, who can afford it, who performed better at a standardized exam, things along those lines, that don't really speak about you, because that's not what your potential is. And for some universities, um, they use all these metrics, all these numbers, to kind of gauge what you can do. Uh, but that it doesn't really coincide. So sometimes a bit of luck really plays into the whole thing, and I think people should just accept that, and as hard and as brutal as that sounds, I feel like we all should accept the fact that it's literally like like a coin toss of situation where 30,000 of kids apply, 1,000 get in, and you just have to accept that sometimes you might not make the cut, you know. But I think the way I kind of got my self confidence back and got my abilities kind of how to put this, how I got back on track and started believing in myself again, and move past that uh, temporary roadblock, is by kind of telling myself that my self confidence and this act of rejection are mutually exclusive. That one thing doesn't need to affect the other. It doesn't speak, like, I know I've been repeating this, but it doesn't really dictate my future completely. Because I like this quote. It says, and I think many basketball players can relate to this, that name on the sometimes the name on the back of the jersey is much greater than the name on the front, meaning your name and your own will and your own perseverance and your abilities and your work ethic is always going to beat your university name. And I think it's been a year since I've been at McGill. Of course, like, some would say that McGill is like that. I'm not qualified to say this because McGill is one of the best schools, and has been the best school in Canada for a long time. But of course, it's no Ivy League school, and like, if it's all relative. Like, for example, if I wanted to hit an Ivy League school and I got put down to the second tier or whatever, it's still I wasn't hitting what I thought was my potential. I hope that is understood. So in that relative scenario, when I came to McGill, I was like, when I chose McGill, I wasn't like, completely on board with the whole idea. I was obviously happy that I got in. I was happy that I got into all my schools that I got into. But of course, like, if anyone gave me a ticket to Princeton, I would go. At least that's how it was when I selected the school. But I'm done with my first year, and I like, at the end of the day, if anyone gave me a transfer to another university, like, let it be Harvard or Princeton, like, even though this sounds like stupid, like, I wouldn't really take it, because I feel like I really put myself in a really great situation over here, because it's more than, and I realized that it's so much more than just that university name that everyone is chasing, that prestige that everyone is chasing. Of course, you know funding helps, or the connections help, like, all of that is nice. But at the end of the day, I feel like, you know I am winning well at McGill, and I feel like that's what matters. Because after a certain point and caliber of universities, there's not really much of a difference. I feel like most of these universities are the same. Of course, the experience differs bit and bit. I think that's the nice part about all these universities and having so many options, that every experience is so different. But then again, in terms of like what you get out of it, like, I've seen enough and more kids from McGill, like, this is in context of like computer science and software. Like, I've seen so many kids at McGill beat kids from like Stanford and Harvard when going for interviews. I've seen the opposite too. But but it none of that happened because of the university name. It mostly just happened because people um, people were determined to do their respective work. Like, I know enough and more people who go to like Ivy Leagues and all these great schools and all that, who A, I know people who do really well, and I also know people who just go broke and just like they don't live up to the standard that they have to live up to, because sometimes at such a competitive school, sometimes it's hard to kind of stand out, and sometimes that affects with so many people's self-esteem. So there are advantages and disadvantages when it comes to going to elite schools. Some people react well to it, and some people don't. But I think one thing that we need to realize is that the schools that take us in are good fits for us, and and when we make that decision, you need to realize that that school accepted you for who you are and what you have. So you need to appreciate that and appreciate the opportunity that you have. And for some of us don't get universities at all, but you just need to like, some of us don't get like reject, some of us get rejected from all our universities, and that's fine. I don't, you don't have to live up to this standard that you have to get into this X school, Y school, Z school, and speak to everyone about it and all of that. All of us have different paths, and you need to like own your own path. If it means that you have to take a gap year and reapply, make sure you do it. I know one of my idols, like one of these females that I absolutely adore and respect. She got like completely screwed over by my school, and she had to reapply the other year. She got like, I think she got like a 2 year delay when it goes to university. But right now and she couldn't get into the schools that she deserved to get into, not because she got in, but she didn't get financial aid because of her rapport with school or something along those lines. And she had to go to the school that wasn't half as good as the schools that she could have gone to. Half as good meaning in social terms, or in the speaking arena terms. But she completely built her life from the university she got into. It's not even like heard of in Sri Lanka. And she she got herself to Oxford. She got herself to like get all these scholarships, and she built her own businesses. She built her own ventures. It really comes down to your personal effort and how you're willing to take your life into your own hands and fix things for yourself. Because at the end of the day, like, we everyone who's able to apply to university and has the knowledge and has all of that to go, has even the financial capacity, or even if not the financial capacity, even an ability to get a scholarship to go to these universities, wherever it is. We all need to be grateful, because not everyone is exposed to the same information, and everyone's not exposed to the ability to put themselves in a position to get college based education. So I think that in general, we should just learn how to differentiate rejection and our own self confidence and our own ego. And this is something my mentor has always told me, because mm, I myself as a college student, I apply to like so many internships. I get rejected from so many places. I get interviews from some. I've known people who applied to 400 internships, and they got accepted for like three interviews for the internship. As someone who's seen all of that and who's experienced it themselves, feel like, yes, rejection sucks, but it's just a signal that we can. It's also a signal that we need to either work differently, work harder, or just just regroup in general. And we don't have to take that personally. You just have to learn how to just adjust yourself to get to the position that you want to get to. So yeah, I think I don't think that anyone should feel bad and should beat themselves up about a university decision. There are so many opportunities waiting. There's so many great things out there for kids like us who are ambitious. As long as you have a sense of purpose, as long as you're willing to do whatever it takes to get to the place where you want to get to, and as long as you have just good work ethic, good habits, good principles, and just a desire to keep winning, I don't see um, any university name bogging you down. And I think, and if you don't believe me, you can come to wherever you the road takes you to. And you can ask employers, you can ask people around. Like it's never about the university name. It's always about you. So as long as you remember that, you're going to be fine. And if you have any story that you need to share with me with regards to your rejection or your success, I'm always out here to listen. So do let me know. This is this is a message from a kid who got rejected from his dream school.